Imagine gaining independence in one of the boldest moments in history, only to be forced to pay for that freedom for over a century. This was Haiti's reality, the first independent black nation in the Americas, which, after breaking away from France in 1804, sparked concerns among European colonial powers. Fearing the effects of a successful revolution on their own colonies, France imposed a reparation debt on Haiti, draining its economy for the next 122 years. During this long period, Haiti had to channel a large part of its limited resources to pay this imposed compensation, curbing investments in infrastructure, education, and other essential areas for growth. This cycle of economic dependence, initiated by the debt, not only stalled Haiti's growth but also created deep inequalities compared to its neighbor, the Dominican Republic. Though they share the same island, the Dominican Republic, which gained independence from Spain under much more favorable conditions, never faced the weight of a historical debt like this and was able to build a stronger economic foundation over the years. The imposition of this independence debt on Haiti is a clear example of colonialism's enduring impact, leaving the country in a state of vulnerability and dependence from the start. This financial burden, finally paid off only in 1947, drained Haiti's limited resources and severely hindered its chances to compete economically. Meanwhile, the Dominican Republic took advantage of a more favorable environment, propelling its social and economic development. These unequal conditions helped shape the stark contrast we still see today between the two nations sharing the same island. But this story of inequality goes beyond the colonial past. Today, the Dominican Republic is 4 times wealthier than Haiti, and its citizens enjoy a much higher standard of living on average. But how did these disparities grow so significantly over the past decades? Let's explore how tourism, political instability, and other key factors have contributed to making these two sides of the island so different. Over the years, these unequal conditions between Haiti and the Dominican Republic have created a gap that is now impossible to ignore. Currently, the Dominican economy is an impressive 4.5 times larger than Haiti's, and the average Dominican citizen possesses between 5 to 8 times more wealth than the average Haitian. This contrast is evident in nearly every aspect of life on the island. On one side, a country thriving with tourism and investment; on the other, a nation facing immense development challenges. The Dominican Republic has built a robust economy largely based on tourism, generating billions of dollars annually. Its beaches attract millions of visitors drawn by the natural beauty and the safety found there. This steady flow of tourists fuels the construction of hotels, resorts, and modern infrastructure, creating a significant number of jobs and generating a virtuous cycle of economic growth. In Haiti, however, the situation is quite different. Despite having equally stunning landscapes and a rich cultural history, the country hasn't managed to transform these assets into a strong tourism industry. Violence and constant political instability drive tourists away and create an environment of mistrust that discourages investors. With each new crisis, Haiti loses valuable opportunities to strengthen its economy, create jobs, and improve its citizens' lives. These economic differences impact more than just tourism or statistics. They shape the everyday lives of people, influencing the opportunities and resources each country can provide for its citizens. And as if the political and economic difficulties weren't enough, Haiti also faces natural challenges that make it extremely vulnerable. Earthquakes, hurricanes, and other natural disasters affect the entire island, but due to its structural fragility, Haiti typically suffers far more intensely. In 2010, Haiti went through one of the most tragic moments in its history. A 7.0 magnitude earthquake struck the capital, Port-au-Prince, and nearby areas, destroying almost everything in its path. In just 30 seconds, buildings crumbled, streets were covered in rubble, and the city was left in ruins. Around 250,000 people lost their lives, with thousands more injured. Hospitals, schools, and homes were destroyed, leaving people without any structure to face the disaster. Haiti, already short on resources and infrastructure, was left with almost no way to respond to such a catastrophe. The tragedy only worsened because, even before the earthquake, Haiti's government was marked by corruption and poor management. Instead of investing in essential services or disaster preparedness, resources were diverted, fueling a weakened political system out of touch with the real needs of the people. When the disaster struck, this lack of preparedness and organization made relief and rescue nearly impossible. International organizations sent aid, but lack of coordination and the government's reluctance to genuinely support the people severely hampered these efforts. This disaster was even more devastating due to the country's uncontrolled deforestation, driven partly by the lack of government support for economic alternatives. With few options, people rely on wood to survive, leading to forest loss and soil erosion. Without trees to hold the land and absorb water, the risk of landslides and floods rises, and each new disaster hits the country even harder. But Haiti's challenges go beyond natural disasters. Even when the country tries to rebuild, it faces a government often ruled by corruption and poor choices, prioritizing political interests over solving the people's crises. Today, many areas are dominated by armed factions and criminal networks, and the weakened, unresponsive government seems out of touch with people's needs. This lack of control fuels violence and chaos, further isolating the country and leaving the people in an increasingly desperate situation. Today, Haiti faces one of the most severe crises in its history, marked by the presence and control of over 200 armed gangs. These groups have spread across large parts of the country and now control up to 90% of the capital, Port-au-Prince. For many Haitians, these factions are part of daily life, with checkpoints and barriers limiting movement along main routes and city access points. In neighborhoods like Cité Soleil, one of the hardest hit, people face a near siege. Gangs control not only who comes and goes but also the prices of essential goods, like food and fuel. In some places, people have to pay tolls to the gangs just to cross certain streets or roads. Those who can't pay end up trapped in their own neighborhoods, cut off from schools, hospitals, and even local markets. The gangs have grown so powerful that in many areas, they control nearly every aspect of life. This includes local commerce, where they decide who can sell and what products are allowed. Those who resist face violent retaliation, creating a constant atmosphere of oppression for residents. In many cases, entire families live in fear of leaving their homes, knowing they might be stopped, extorted, or attacked by gang members. Violence is used as a tool for control. For example, in Martissant, a crucial region of Port-au-Prince, armed blockades prevent supply trucks from reaching urban centers, causing shortages across multiple areas. This forced blockade drives prices up drastically, leaving the local population extremely vulnerable, without access to basic necessities. For most Haitians, the government stopped providing any kind of protection long ago. Public authorities have lost control of many regions and are largely absent, leaving people at the mercy of these factions. This situation is not just a security crisis, it's a humanitarian one. With the absence of a strong government, Haiti has become increasingly controlled by gangs, which have expanded and tightened their grip. This chaotic situation worsened significantly in 2021 with the brutal assassination of President Jovenel Moise, an event that laid bare the country's deep political crisis and left a power vacuum Haiti has yet to fill. Since then, Haiti has been without an elected leader. Following Moise's death, Prime Minister Ariel Henry took power on an interim basis, though without formal ratification or support from elections. This transition, marked by mistrust and lack of legitimacy, has led to even greater instability. Henry has postponed elections multiple times, leaving the country with no set path for political renewal and plunging the people into a state of constant uncertainty. This absence of elected leaders and stable institutions has created ideal conditions for the gangs to grow, taking advantage of the government's fragility to expand their influence. With a government unable to control much of the territory and a paralyzed political structure, gangs have become the dominant authority in many regions. In entire neighborhoods of Port-au-Prince, gangs set the rules, restricting movement, charging fees from residents, and even controlling local commerce. For many Haitians, the state seems to have vanished, leaving them without any protection or rights. Ariel Henry's administration has been marked by a lack of strong responses to the social crises. Without a functional Congress or an operational Supreme Court, the country is practically without its three branches of government, making checks and balances impossible. The Prime Minister's decisions are constantly questioned, yet with no organized opposition and no elections, there is no democratic means to replace him or to establish a government that truly represents the people's interests. This deadlock only deepens the public's distrust, already fed by a history of broken promises and widespread corruption. Today, Haiti is entrenched in a political collapse that fuels violence and insecurity, allowing gangs to expand their power and turning the country into a constant conflict zone. For many Haitians, the hope for real change seems increasingly distant. While the government remains weakened and without answers, the international community is watching with growing concern, discussing ways to intervene in hopes of restoring some order and giving the people a chance at a secure life. Interventions. With the Haitian government weakened and gangs dominating large areas, the chaos in Haiti led the UN to approve a new security mission in October 2023, supported by financial and logistical aid from the United States. The mission was designed to assist the Haitian police and restore the order needed to hold elections in the future. Unlike past military interventions, this force was made up mostly of police officers rather than soldiers, with Kenya sending around 1,000 officers to support Haitian forces. Caribbean countries like the Bahamas and Jamaica also committed small support units. The main idea was to back local police and improve security without a large-scale foreign occupation. For many Haitians, this new international intervention brought mixed feelings of hope and caution. On the one hand, many saw the mission as a chance to finally take on the gang violence that had taken over much of the capital, Port-au-Prince. On the other hand, people recalled the impacts of previous missions, like the UN operation from 2004 to 2017, which not only failed to bring lasting stability but also led to a cholera outbreak that killed over 10,000 Haitians. Given this history, the new mission has pledged to learn from past mistakes. International authorities stated that this time, the focus was on strengthening Haitian police capacity and avoiding prolonged foreign presence. However, critics have pointed out that without a plan for economic development and solid political reform, the country will remain vulnerable to crises once the mission ends. Since 2021, Haiti's political crisis and rising violence have forced over 100,000 Haitians to leave in search of safety and better opportunities. The situation in Haiti is dire, with many facing kidnappings, roadblocks, and severe shortages of jobs and food, pushing entire families to risk dangerous journeys to reach the United States or to cross Central America on foot. The migration route is extremely perilous. Many Haitians face hostile conditions crossing Central America, exposing themselves to theft, extortion, and even violent attacks from criminal groups. Additionally, many attempt the journey in unstable boats across the Caribbean Sea, risking dangerous waters to reach the U.S. coast. In recent years, Haitians have become one of the most frequent groups at U.S. borders, reflecting the depth of the humanitarian crisis at home. The situation reached a breaking point in 2021, when thousands of Haitians were seen camping under a bridge at the Texas-Mexico border, waiting for a chance to enter the United States. Besides the U.S., other Latin American countries like Chile and Brazil are also common destinations for Haitians, although immigration policies in these places have grown increasingly restrictive. The crossing is only part of the challenge, as many face difficulties finding stability, and they often encounter discrimination and legal obstacles upon arrival. To contain violence and the spillover from Haiti's crisis, the Dominican Republic has started constructing a wall along its border with its neighbor. Announced by President Luis Abinader, the project includes about 164 kilometers of barriers in high-traffic areas. With a cost in the tens of millions of dollars, construction began in 2022 and will be completed in phases. The wall is made of reinforced concrete and steel fencing, with some sections featuring a double grid reinforced with barbed wire to further prevent crossings. To support technological monitoring, the wall will be equipped with motion sensors, facial recognition cameras, and even radar systems, allowing stricter control of the movement of people and goods. In addition to the physical barrier, the project includes patrol roads and watchtowers for the Dominican Republic's Border Security Force, responsible for safeguarding the area. This measure aims to prevent illegal immigration, arms trafficking, and smuggling, which often cross the border. However, the wall's construction has intensified debates about isolating Haitians, many of whom rely on cross-border trade and seasonal work. For Dominicans, the barrier represents an attempt to protect the country's safety and economy, which currently hosts around 500,000 Haitians. For many Haitians, the wall is yet another obstacle amid a deepening humanitarian crisis. While Haiti struggles with a deep, ongoing crisis, the Dominican Republic has forged a path of rapid development, establishing itself as one of the Caribbean's strongest economies. In recent years, the country has attracted significant foreign investment, especially in tourism and construction, two fundamental pillars of its economy. With stunning beaches, luxury resorts, and vibrant culture, the Dominican Republic welcomed around 7 million tourists in 2022, contributing billions to its GDP. This economic growth is supported by a diversified domestic market. Beyond tourism, the Dominican Republic has expanded its industrial output, exporting textiles, electronics, and agricultural products like cocoa and tobacco. The Dominican Free Trade Zone, which offers tax incentives to foreign companies, also helps generate jobs in growth sectors like manufacturing and technology. These policies attract not only investments but also a steady flow of international trade, making the country an important logistics hub in the Caribbean. However, its relationship with Haiti, sharing the island of Hispaniola, presents complex challenges and interdependence. Many Haitians work in essential sectors like construction and agriculture, contributing to economic growth. Yet, the rise in migration has sparked debates about security, integration, and social rights. In response, the Dominican government has implemented strict border control measures, including the construction of a wall to strengthen security and counteract smuggling and human trafficking. Alongside internal initiatives, the Dominican Republic plays an active role in the Caribbean Community, CARICOM, and the Association of Caribbean States, ACS, promoting economic and political cooperation with neighboring countries. Diplomatically, it seeks to support regional stability and has repeatedly called international attention to Haiti's humanitarian and security crises. The reality is clear: Haiti's future presents serious and complex challenges, with the country nearing a failed state status similar to Afghanistan or Somalia. This risk stems from decades of political instability, external interventions, and an economy paralyzed by lack of infrastructure and investment. Without a stable government, with gangs controlling large parts of the territory, and with a population suffering from extreme poverty and insecurity, Haiti is in a highly vulnerable position. There are international and domestic calls for historic reparations to Haiti as a way to offset the impacts of colonialism and the indemnity Haiti was forced to pay France after its independence. This debt drained essential economic resources, stifling infrastructure and economic development in Haiti for over a century. Some countries argue that without fair reparations and significant international cooperation, Haiti will have little chance to escape the cycle of poverty and instability that traps it. For a sustainable future, experts suggest Haiti needs a comprehensive approach, including both the recovery of its political sovereignty and economic rebuilding. However, this requires strengthening local institutions, tackling corruption, and making robust investments in education, health, and security. Without these steps, Haiti risks remaining dependent on external interventions, unable to develop a self-sustaining economic base and prone to political and social crises. The role of the international community could be crucial, but only if there's a genuine commitment to address Haiti's root causes, not just temporary fixes. This uncertain future raises concerns about the region's security and stability, highlighting the urgent need for solutions that are lasting and inclusive.